Last Saturday, on our flight back from Frankfurt, on the way back from Italy, I turned to Fran somewhere over the Atlantic Ocean and said, in all truth, this may have been the greatest trip that we will ever take together as a couple. And I know it's hard to say that because who knows, next year the church could send us to Greece or something like that. But odds are, I don't know that we'll ever have a trip as good as the one we've just been on. So many dreams and hopes and expectations went into the planning of this trip over the past year. Buying that first Rick Steves travel guide book last year at Indigo and just going through it again and again and again and trying to choose between what world-famous city we're going to spend time in and then what museums and what sites we hope to take in that city. And then mapping out the whole journey. You know, we've got 21 days, so how long in each place? And I just loved opening up to the big map on the front of Rick Steves' book that showed all of Italy, because I like to be omniscient and look down and see ourselves land in Rome, and then go up to Venice, and then over through Milan to the Cinque Terre, and then down over towards Pisa, and then to Florence, and then to Siena, and then to San Gimignano, and then back to Rome. And I just love seeing that, so dreamt about that. Booked rooms, heard stories from fellow Italy travelers, explorers who had gone ahead of us, read book after book, tried to get up on the language just a little bit, just so that we could most fully engage the new land, this new place, this new world. So for months and months and months, we stoked and stocked our imaginations. What will a Mediterranean breeze feel like? I've imagined that all my life, but we're going to be there on the coast of the Ligurian Sea. What's it going to feel like? And how will the famous, infamous, chaotic buzz of Rome and all of its life and energy, how will it impact us? And what will it mean to see and then enter into the Roman Colosseum? What's it going to feel like to sneak in an actual touch of a Michelangelo statue in Siena in a church? I know you're not supposed to, but I'm tactile. Hey, it was so cool. And what will Italy taste like? All of the pasta and gelati and cappuccino. We have to buy a cappuccino maker. Our hearts were so filled with these questions and this sense of anticipation and excitement, overflowing with this what's next kind of leaning forward. And in the end, not overstating it, I don't think at all, we both feel that every one of those hopes and imagined dreams and expectations came true. It was everything I could have ever hoped for, we could have ever hoped for, and more. Felt more alive, more awake, more human, more full and flourishing, and me, and us, and Fran, than I think we could have ever expected. We were aware of the goodness of life and its fleetingness, the beauty that surrounds us in these amazing new things, but especially in each other. We were just captured by life's profound power. Thinking back on it, I wonder if that was a foretaste of what heaven will one day be perfectly like. In the opening chapter of the book that was assigned for homework for all of us, Alain de Botton's The Art of Travel, he writes, "If our lives are dominated by a search for happiness, then perhaps few activities reveal as much about the dynamics of this quest in all of its ardor and paradoxes than our travels. They express, however inarticulately, an understanding of what life might be about. We sang it 2 songs ago. God can do anything you know, far more than you could ever dream, imagine, or guess, or request in your wildest dreams. No eye has seen, and no ear has heard, no mind has conceived what God has prepared for you who love him. The resurrection, the Apostle Paul writes to the Romans. Fran and I read Romans while we were in Rome at night when we remembered to read our Bible. The resurrection life, he wrote it to them. And we're in a monastery now. We're with them. This resurrection life you received from God is not a timid, grave-tending life. It's adventurously expectant, greeting God with a childlike, "What's next, Papa?" God's Spirit touches our spirits. God's Spirit touches our spirits and confirms who we really are. We know who He is, and we know who we are, Father and children. And we know we're going to get what's coming to us, an unbelievable inheritance. And then skipping a few verses, Paul then writes, "Meanwhile, the joyful anticipation deepens." You're made to anticipate that. Travel is all about, in one sense, a search for what might be, what could be, what once was perfectly, what will one day again be perfectly. And I think, in thinking about travel over the past month and now experiencing it, all of the newness and otherness of travel hits at this nerve, this thing that God has built in you and I to one day be in that perfect other new place. Travel introduces us to another geographical place, maybe some place we've never been before. It's brand new. To another culture, the culture of Italy. Like, talk about a hand-gesturing, passionate, looking you in the eyes when they spoke to you all the time. Full eye contact, like us Westerners were all going, give me space, give me wide roads, give me Calgary, give me my independence. Don't do that to me. But it was so beautiful, and they touched each other. They touched each other all the time. As they were talking, they touched each other. Such a love, such a beautiful culture. Travel's about this other sense of time, which you feel, you know the feeling, when you get somewhere and you just get lost, right? The BlackBerry goes away, the watch, you don't even put it on that day, and you get lost in a different sense of what human time and life is like. It's about other activities. You know, I'm not going to see any meaningful statuary here in Calgary like we did over the past 3 weeks in Italy. We did so many other new things. It's about other way of living your day. We walked for 20 kilometers a day. I'm convinced God made us to walk for 20 kilometers a day if we only had the time. These human bodies are made to move, to journey, to travel. So many othernesses that we enter into when we travel and journey. And other, like I said, I think we're meant for a life full, filled with God's Spirit through Christ.